Hey, it's 11:40 The Bet, Las Vegas. Adrian Hernandez here and very excited because a champion is joining us right now as we welcome in AEW's Women Champion Thunder Rosa. Happy 5-month anniversary on winning that belt, by the way, and making time for us. How are you feeling heading into this House of Dragons, Game of Thrones episode of Dynamite coming up this week?
First of all, it is a 5-month anniversary. Jeez.
Yeah, I believe so. March
That was
16th.
so quick. I know. It's been so quick. Well, I'm excited specifically because, Tony is going to be wrestling one of my favorite wrestlers, somebody that has been pivotal women in my promotion, Mission Pro Wrestling, which is Kylie King. I have believed in Kylie King's abilities from day one. I think she's a wonderful opponent. I think Tony couldn't have anyone better to continue her journey into, as we know, she's a number one contender to have a match, and I'm really excited for both of them. The show's going to be great. There's a lot of exciting matches, but yes, my tag team partner is going to be there, and I'm going to be there for her.
Yeah, and there it is. And let me get the sponsors out of the way, by the way. All insider calls are brought to us by BetQL. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download your BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com. And you brought it up, and it's kind of what I wanted to start with because you're making time for us. Your promotion, Mission Pro Wrestling. And first and foremost, one thing for people listening that don't know or aren't aware, when it comes to hustling and busting your ass, I think it defines your journey. And it's something that it gets me in my feels as I'm in my journey here in radio. And that's led you to start your own, basically this is your baby, Mission Pro Wrestling. And I know you have a big show this weekend. So if you can kind of tell me and tell everyone how it came to be and what's going on this weekend so we could check it out.
So it came out to be, as like you guys know, in 2020, right after the pandemic happened, the speak up situation occurred, and we felt the necessity to create something for women, and where they could feel comfortable, they could feel themselves, they didn't feel like they were being harassed. So it was a safe place for them, and a lot of people gathered. We called, contact them, and asked them to do us a favor. It was at a very difficult time, right? And where it was kind of hard to run shows, and a lot of the girls came on their own dime and to support this project. I feel like it gives me chills to see some of the videos of our first show because it was very special, man. It was. We are definitely trying to make something different here in the United States. I know in other countries there's been a lot more women's promotions run by women, especially in Japan. We're talking about Japan. There's some in Europe, Eve. They still run and they're very successful. But here in America, we always had, pockets of women's wrestling in the independent scene. And we've been very blessed to have had Mission Pro Wrestling now being run. This is the second year. September is going to be our third anniversary, but the second year running as an all-female promotion. And this Saturday, we have Hard Day's Night. We're raising money for the Southside of San Antonio for the school district, and we're collecting school supplies and everything. One of my main goals is this for the rest of the year. I think it's support more teachers in Texas. I know teachers all over the country have had a very difficult time, with budget cuts and everything. And for me, now in Texas, where after what happened at Uvalde, it is very important that I help the teachers because the teachers are kind of like the second parents of our kids. I have a 17-year-old who goes to school, who goes to high school, and he's very close to some of his teachers. And I was very close to some of my teachers. And without them, I wouldn't be where I am right now. Some of them helped me go to college, and they offer their own money for me to go to college because they knew I didn't have much. So I know a lot of our teachers on the south side of San Antonio, they don't have much, and they need school supplies. So we're gonna try to raise money, school supplies for all those kids that probably don't have the means to go to school with new notebooks, or they don't have the what they need to be educated. So we're going to do that, and we're also raising some money for the Salvation Army. Some of the proceeds of our tickets are going to go directly to the south side of San Antonio Salvation Army.
That's amazing.
Program. So,
yeah, that's super amazing, and we'll be sure to tweet that out to help in any way we can. And you bring up all these different countries that have women's promotions, all women's promotions, but also all these different countries are part of your journey. Hell, moving here to the United States at 17, working in Mexico, going to Japan. I'm just curious on those nights where you didn't feel like you had the greatest match, or what usually happens is you focus on like one small part and you're like, damn, I could have did this instead. What kept you going? Because obviously, in some of your other interviews in the ring, when you're on the mic, you can tell that you have a passion and a care. Is that what pushed you through on some of those nights where it was more difficult throughout this journey to get to where you're at now?
Man, I've talked about it, like how it is really easy to criticize people that are on top, and it is very easy to like nitpick on like little mistakes that we do, and even me personally, because I'm such a perfectionist. At the end of the day, like it's not about me and about, perfection. It's about knowing and understanding that I am influencing a lot of people in such a positive way. Why? Because I'm taking a risk that not a lot of people have. Like, I mean, let's talk about being a Latino woman, a Mexicana, in a male-dominated business, and I'm the first one of my kind. Yeah, we have had males that have been very successful, and they have been champions and that, but I'm the first female-born wrestler from Mexico who's doing this in such a great scale. So, of course, I'm going to be under, like, a lot of, like, criticism and everything, but at the end of the day, it's like when I meet people in person, when I meet my little brown girls and all kinds of girls from all different, places, and they tell me that I am becoming an inspiration and a motivation for them to switch careers, to like change their lives, to do something better for themselves. That's when I know what I'm doing is the right thing, regardless of what's happening in my personal life, regardless of what happened in the ring, regardless of what people are saying or criticizing me for what I am or what I'm not. At the end of the day, I am here making a difference, and I'm here every single day when I wake up knowing that when I'm going to go out there, like, I'm representing all those women and men too that want to make a difference.
No, 100%. You're giving me goosebumps over here, Rosa. And like, I don't know if you realize this or if you've been able to take a moment to look back at everything, but like in the big picture, your journey in professional wrestling, like it's only 8 years old. You started in 2014. It's really not that long of a time. And now you being the champion, being one of the cornerstones of not only the women's division, but AEW in general, and having to travel for shows, having to talk to people like me all throughout the country to do media and becoming a public figure known throughout the world. Like, how's that transition been with the responsibility that comes with that belt and carrying that around?
Well, I'm still getting used to the fame, being a public figure, because it's different. Like I said, there's a lot of people in the world who has like a lot of time in their hands, and they're just digging for stuff, right?
Yeah, straight up.
That is one thing I got. My media guy, Tony Allen, shout out. He's in Monterrey, Mexico. He's my right hand, and he's always like, "Hey, girl," he's like, "There's always I'm trying to rain on your parade, but we have to keep focusing. We have to keep moving forward, because again, what you're doing is very special, and like the fact that you are employing so many women, so many men, people like me, and you're helping me, achieve my dreams. It's what ultimately the end of the day what we're trying to do, right? So I don't know, man. I'm like, lately I've been getting on my knees and really praying and giving thanks for all this beautiful life that I'm able to achieve. I mean, it's wild. I rented a car this weekend, and it's like, that's where I was like, wow, I am doing really well, like in comparison to when like a couple months ago I went to Mexico. I went to Tijuana, where I'm from, and I went back to the places that I used to go to, the school that I used to go to, and like where I used to eat, and like just got memories of like, the struggles and like the uncertain times that my family lived in. And now I'm blessed that I am traveling all over the country, and I'm traveling all over the world, just spreading the word of, hard work pays off, pretty much.
No, 100%. And like, it's so, I don't know if you could tell, but I'm smiling ear to ear right now, because like that's what it's all about, and paying it off, and knowing and being you looking at you in your career and being like, no matter how hard the struggle is, if you have the passion, if you have the belief, and if you're willing to put in the work, because it ain't easy, that it can happen and it is possible. And before we transition to other things, I know I just asked you about your career and going through all these different places. As a nerd, I don't know if this is too inside baseball, but I want to know, like, how much did it help you in your career having to wrestle in all these different places? Because obviously, number one, the crowds are different. The psychology of the matches are different. The work and the type of style of the match itself. Like, how much did that benefit you in your career, being able to have all of this and having all these tools in your repertoire?
I think I'm not afraid of anybody or anything. It's like, oh, you're gonna wrestle a luchadora. Okay, cool. I know how to do it. Oh, you're gonna wrestle somebody from England. Okay, I've been there. I've done that. I know how it is. Okay, cool. Like, you're prepared. It's like when you go to college, right? You want to either go to a crappy college and you get crappy education, or you go to an elite college and where they're sending you to different places where they're sending you to like know how to like network and how to like be successful. So when you graduate, the more like the likelihood of you being successful and having a better job is higher, right?
Yeah.
For me, that was like number one. Like, when I looked for a school, I looked for the best school in the area. Then after that, I was like, okay, where can I go to like learn even more? It's always learning. It's like in my jobs when I was working as a social worker, they used to send us to different trainings so we can get up to date and we know what needs to do, what is going next, what's the next trend. So it is the same thing with professional wrestling. It is the same thing with any sport. Like, people don't get the best of the best. They don't get stale. They continue to work on their craft throughout their whole entire career. And that's one of the things that I saw in Japan. It was that a lot of the ladies are the top athletes. They never stop training. Never did. Io Sky now, or Io Shirai, who was one of my trainers in Japan, that's one of them. She was like one of the main women that made me not be afraid of heights, maybe not be afraid of jumping from the third rope, because she forces us to get out of our comfort zone. You must get out of comfort zone to understand what's next, right?
Yeah.
What's out there. Because if you're always like doing the same, this is my mentality. If you're always doing the same crap all the time, you're gonna get complacent. I can't get complacent. I know what I'm against. I have to be, I have to like know or be on my stuff to be able to like perform all the time. I was trained by men and they trained me like a man, so they always were like really harsh on me. So that's another thing. They never treated me like, oh yeah, she's soft, she's a girl. Like, no, she's a dog pretty much. So
Yes.
it's like having that dog mentality.
No, 100%. And 11:40 the bet. AEW's Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa joining us. And I want to get to this point right now and what's going on with AEW and honestly with all of professional wrestling, whether it's outside the ring or inside the ring. As a fan, I have renewed energy. I went ahead and got YouTube TV because I was like, I can't wait for the next day to go on the TNT or TBS app. I want to watch it day of. And it's a very exciting time all throughout professional wrestling. So I'm wondering, for you guys in the locker room, and even last week with CM Punk returning, what's the vibe and the temperature? Because it seems like it is a great time that we haven't had in so long when it comes to being a fan, and I'm wondering if it's that same type of vibe in the locker room.
Well, you have to stay on, you have to stay on top, like on your stuff. Like we are, athletes, we're wrestlers, and the expectation right now is really high on every single company, man. Like, there's so much competition, and competition is good because that forces you to get out of your comfort zone. If there's things that you need to work on, you better start working on them, right? Because we have to attract the viewership. It's all about viewership. It's all about who's popular and what's going on, and I feel like in many different ways that's what's happening. And we are, at least me, like some of my friends, they'd be like, hey girl, you got to step it up. Like, I get that text message at least once or twice every week.
Be thankful for it.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I got to step it up. Like, sometimes we get injuries and we get in our heads, but it's just that mindset. I'm like, when I'm out there, man, like, no matter what's happening in my world, like, when I'm there, I have to be there and I have to give my 20,000% because somebody else right behind me trying to get what I want. And that is either, another opponent, Tony Storm, or like Statlander, like anybody in the locker room. And that goes to people in the other company too. You never know.
And speaking of that, I do want to ask you about Sasha Banks and Naomi, and I don't want to. I'm not going to do the cliche thing of do you want to face them because you're the champ, you'll face whoever's put in front of you and stuff. But from like an outside perspective, to see two women kind of be upset or not like the direction of where they were going and kind of putting their foot down. And I think Sasha said it the best, where she's like, hey, you guys invited me to this table. I'm with you guys, but I'm looking at our plates and you guys are eating steaks and I still got a kid's meal. And I'm not doing that anymore. So as a woman in the industry, like, what was your reaction and how did you feel to see like, yo, shout out to her, knowing her worth and kind of being like, I do not like this and I don't have to be here and go through this if I'm not enjoying it and I don't feel like this is beneficial?
Well, when one of my best friends said it the best, he just sent me a text message when something doesn't fit anymore, it doesn't fit you anymore. And that's what it is. And that's what happened, you know? So she made that statement and it paid off for her. But for some people, it wouldn't pay off because they don't have that status. Let's talk about status. She had that status in where she could have gone anywhere. But for some people, that's not an option, you know? So let's be real about that, too. So when you have that option and you can make that statement, go for it because that's going to like really set the tone for a lot of other people that are kind of like, again, don't have the status. And now they'll be like, well, she did it, I can do it, too. Or they feel more comfortable doing that kind of stuff. Like I said, it paid off for them, and she could have gone any other way. She could have gone and done like acting because she was already doing that, or whatever else because she has it at that point. Like she said, at a point in her career where she has options. Some people don't have any options, and I mean, I hope that with that, like I know a lot of people in that company they open their eyes, but you know, it's again, if she set the tone for other women and other guys too to like be like, hey, this is not right. Definitely.
Yeah, and before we get you out of here, just a couple more questions. I don't think it gets recognized enough, Rosa. Your outfits that you've been coming out to the ring with, I like to call it drip. They're phenomenal. So I'm gonna go through a couple, and if you could give me a couple sentences of where the idea came from and how it came to be to come out. And with the first one, I'm taking it back all the way to 2019. It's only right. We're both Latinos. You're Mexicana. The Selena inspired gear with the burgundy.
Bro, that one. Like I talked to shout out to my tío. He used to live in LA. I told him like, tío, quiero verme como Selena, pero no me quiero ver como Selena para que no me demanden. And then he's like, I got you, girl. So he knew my body so well, so he designed it for me, and it's just like it looks fantastic. Like, cause he was like, well, like we'll take off the little, you know, the bottom bell bottom.
Yeah.
So I can wrestle, right? So, oh my God, that's one of my favorite years. And again, because Texas has given me so much, and Selena's from Texas, and she's one of the huge inspirations just on everything in general. Which I know her widow now, and I might be doing some music with him, so I'm super excited about that. You know,
really, really.
I'm working on my first single. It's gonna be original Mexican music, rancheras, so agárrense. Yep.
I love it. I wasn't expecting that answer. Thank you.
I'm telling you, I'm multi-talented. It's just people don't know that.
Damn right. You better yeah, exactly. Let's do a couple more. Forbidden Door. Your outfit that you came out with, first off, completely badass. The headdress was spectacular. The face paint, though, I think it was the best that you've had in the career. Kind of looked a little bit, it looked fierce, not like a zombie, but it looked like you were out there to beat some ass. So Forbidden Door and that outfit that you came out to the ring with, what was the inspiration?
The inspiration was, so the gear was based on the headpiece. The headpiece was given me by one of the teachers from LA. Her name is Teresa. Shout out to Teresa. She drove all the way from LA to Vegas because she also made my other headpiece for the one in Vegas, the yellow one that I came out of that. So her dream is, she's very artistic. Her dream is to like do headpieces and stuff like that. So I was like, how about you do one for me? And I texted her and she did it for me as a gift, man. So it was like I was super blessed. So I talked to my gear maker, Chris. Shout out to Chris. He came up with the concept when we based everything on the headpiece. And I always wanted to do like a guerrera azteca.
Yeah.
As you see, my tattoo is a guerrera azteca. Like I said, for so long I denied my culture because I wanted to assimilate to the American culture. But I I noticed that by doing that, I was missing a very important part of me, which is where I was born and the blood that is running in my veins, which is Azteca, right? And I have to like, it's like this is a real thing, man. It's because, I wanted to be accepted in the wrestling business as me as a woman, but that was not happening. And just accepting where I was from and doing all this, the face paint and everything, that really gave me a sense of identity. And I'm not talking just like, oh, like who Melissa is, not an identity of like who I was supposed to be in this world. And that is like grandiose in life, and that's Thunder Rosa. So that one right there, I'm like, I have a screenshot of a picture, and I'm looking at the sky, and I remember just being in front of like all those people and like the roar of the people and the fire. That's all me, man.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. My last outfit that I want to ask you about is the Wolverine. That absolutely incredible. So,
Oh,
but real quick, if it wasn't Wolverine, who would it have been? And then you can go into the outfit and how that came to be.
well, if it was Wolverine, I wanted to do Catwoman because she's sexy as heck. But yeah, sometimes I just want to be like, flexing. But no, I was just thinking to do that. Wolverine, I always like X-Men. Wolverine has been probably one of my favorite ones because of how badass he is and how like he just doesn't care about anything. And it came about by, I literally told my guy, I was like, hey dude, I need gear like tomorrow or like in a week. And then I sent him a picture of what I was thinking, because somebody sent me that picture of a X-23 or Wolverine, the women figure.
Yeah.
And then we just like changed some of the stuff. And because it was what's her name, Jade always says that she's Storm, and she came out as Storm after. I wanted to do that for that match.
You're like, I could be an X-Men too, okay? John's gonna kill me because we're going way over time. So last question. Thunder Rosa again, AEW's Women's World Champion, joining us. And before we get out of here, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you to play this AEW video game that was just announced, AEW Fight Forever?
I'm not a gamer, but I'll try to play it. I like to play myself. I think that's like a pretty crazy thing.
Yeah.
Dude, everything is crazy. I have a action figure that girls are playing. He's not a Barbie. He's an action figure that girls are playing with, and now like guys, girls, moms, dads, grandpas are gonna play with the game, and they're gonna be able to play me. So I know this is what I read on Reddit, or my guy told me on Reddit, that I'm one of the most popular characters on other games. They create me with like all my stuff, my gears and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be at my own.
Yeah, don't undersell it, Rosa. You're about to be in a video game. Kids around the world are going to be playing as you. It's incredible.
Bro, I'm something like if you were to know like where I grew up, I didn't even have a game console when I was growing up.
Yeah, that's true.
That my neighbor let me borrow, and that was it. And a black and white TV, bro. And now I'm gonna be on everybody's. If they have a console and they can play with, I'm gonna be on a game, dude. This is like insane. I can't even fathom yet, like what's happening in my life.
Rosa, from a black and white screen to being on 4K TV every week. It's been awesome to see your journey. I told you before the interview, and it's been awesome to speak to you. Sorry we went long for the other interviews you got to do. I know you're a busy woman, but we appreciate and we love to see you every week. And thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, and tell your sobrinos que dije hola.
Of course, the MVP, making me seem more like a badass. Rosa, adios.